Hi, everyone. And this is a video about the November Image Maker in Residence program. We are here with Priya Sharma, who actually has been the behind the scenes person for Image Maker in Residence so far. And this is kind of a special video. We're gonna talk a bit about our image maker for this month, but also a bit about the program itself. And I think maybe we should start by introducing ourselves. So, hi Priya, could you please tell us a bit about yourself? Like, who are you?
Hi George, thanks for having me. So my name's Priya Sharma, and I am a current PhD student at Goldsmiths in the Media Communications and Cultural Studies department. So my thesis looks at the British South Asian diaspora on social media, and I am specifically interested in kind of diasporic formations of identity, of feminism and queerness on specifically on Instagram. And also how it kind of works with and against like platform capitalism and things like this. So this is what I'm really interested in my work. I took over the running of the Sociological Review magazine Image Maker in Residence program from Dr. Laura Harris, who ran it before me, and she did a great job as well. And I had been running it from 2020 up until this year, and where it's been handed over to your capable hands. And what I really wanted to do with it was kind of move it more into the realm of contemporary art, and to kind of hand over the digital magazine themes to artists who work in different mediums, from computer animation to film, collage, sculpture. And so I was really kind of interested in knowing what they thought and how they would deal visually and work visually with the themes that we took to them. So yeah, that was kind of what I wanted to do with the program. And yeah, George, as you are running it now, you are the program runner. Who are you? Could you tell us a bit more about yourself?
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm George, as you've realized so far, and I'm also a PhD student in visual sociology at Goldsmiths. My research is looking at the homemaking of the queer Greek diaspora in London, and specifically at tactics of homemaking in relation to how guidance is being passed on and kinships are made. So yeah, and yes, I am the new person now behind the program. Why are you leaving us, Priya? Where are you going?
And I was very sad about going as well, very sad. But I have just taken on a 12-month lectureship at the University of Manchester in the Institute for Cultural Practices. So yeah, enjoying that.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, so this month's Image Maker in Residence is actually an old collective. Their name is See Red Women's Workshop, and they are actually disbanded now. So one of the reasons why you see us here instead of the usual interview we have with the image maker is this, because the collective is closed at the moment. So, See Red was making different posters that were challenging actually gender roles and the representation of women in media, specifically in advertising. but then also of other different marginalized social groups as well, from 1974 till 1990, I think. But Priya, as you have been the person who actually, chose this image maker for this month, the month of November, would you like to tell us a bit more about your thinking of choosing them, and also, sorry, in relation to this month's topic, which is social reproduction, right? So this idea of how a society kind of gives birth to itself again and again and again in similar but also different ways, in a way.
Yeah, sure. So, initially the first thing I really loved was just the striking look of the posters. I thought they just, they just look amazing, and the colors that are used, the technique and the skill and the craft that goes into screen printing of these posters, I thought was just really beautiful. And because the image maker residency is first and foremost, it's it's a really visual that language that we use to for this program. So I just really, just the way they look is amazing. And more importantly, I just thought they really challenged normative ideas of womanhood, and I really saw them as disrupting the social reproduction of gender roles, and really confronting the barriers women faced throughout the 70s up until the 90s. And we're still facing those same barriers. They just arguably they just look different and have different words to describe what those challenges are now, but I still think they're there. And I also thought, from an organizational perspective, they really challenged the way that the arts sector is kind of formed, and the way that kind of maybe artists work today. Their ethos is of working collectively, and they also take credit collectively, which today I think is still a really impressive feat. I think today we're really encouraged even further into an individualized, branded self through things like social media, and the way that some institutions tell us that we should work as well. And so the idea of working together and being understood and credited as a collective, I think, continues to be a really politicized way of working. So that to me was really another really great way that they challenged these ways that we reproduce working practices as well. And I know in some of our conversations, George, you'd mentioned C-Red's use of Creative Commons licensing for their posters. Could you just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, which is also, first of all, how we're going to be able to share these as well, right, on social media, is because they actually have a variety, like some of the posters right now online, and they're open access and free to share as long as you credit them correctly. And I think that's also interesting, because this also in itself challenges certain norms around the sharing of art and the sharing of knowledge. And I think that's another interesting way, that the social reproduction of how, like, the hierarchies basically of knowledge are being challenged here as well, I guess. And it's interesting because also the Sociological Review magazine is under a Creative Commons license as well. So it kind of follows this, idea of challenging hierarchies of knowledge, I think I'd say. But yeah, so as we said, we don't have like an image maker with us actually this month, but we would usually ask our image makers what gives them hope. So in this instance, I would ask you, Priya, what gives you hope?
As a little aside there, George, I would just like to say, if anyone from C-Red Women's Workshop sees this video and would still like to get in touch and be involved somehow, that would be great. That would be really nice. We would like to hear from someone.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. That's a very good point, actually. Because we have to say that we did try to reach to them. They have a form, actually, and they do say that, it will take some time for them to get back because they're not monitoring that email too often. And it's mostly because we have a very strict time schedule, to publish this, that we decided to go for that. But yeah, sorry, back to the question again. What gives you hope?
So I think, and that is a difficult question given the state of the world at the moment. But, I do still think there are moments that really do give me hope as well. I think campaigns like Stop Oil, Palestine Action, Don't Pay, and also just that, the countless activists who aren't part of these organizations, who fight the fight alongside or part of the migrant struggle, trans struggle, animal liberation. I think all of these, these people that don't get credited as well, I think they really give me hope through their kind of campaigning, their demonstrating their civil disobedience, that, people are still on for, fighting. And I think that's really, that gives me a lot of hope. What about you, George? What gives you hope?
I mean, I guess I'd follow what you just said, really. I think it was actually our October image maker in residence, Jessie Martin, who, in responding to that question, said that what gives her hope is resistance against power in whatever form it takes. And I think, that really says it very well there, because I feel that what you've been describing is different modes of resisting. And I think it's very interesting because, resistance can take different forms. You can resist by cooking a certain meal somewhere, or by hugging somewhere, or by lying down, or in different ways, which I guess can be very embodied and very intimate, but also very political and very public. And I think this is what gives me hope, the fact that resistance is somehow within us, within our bodies already. And it's, we can manifest it in many different ways, really. Yeah.
Oh, that's so, yeah. Oh, that's so good. That's really hopeful. That's really nice.
Oh.
And also, I guess, connected to the idea of hope, is, you're now the person that runs the Image Maker in Residence program. What do you hope for it going forward?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I hope for it to stay being an active space, an active platform, offering space for image makers and creative people to share and showcase their research and their work. But also in relation to this discussion around, visual sociology and what visual sociology is or might be, in the sense of, how the research of the social, whether this is in the methodologies we use or in the dissemination of the research. So how researching the social can somehow get closer to the sensory experience of the social itself, beyond just text, beyond just reading and writing. So how can we bring in more visual, more sensory stuff into how we do sociology? So yes, that's what I would hope for, to have this space around this discussion being an active space. And I guess, keep an eye for whatever is to follow, some open calls, maybe other things. Yeah, very exciting.
I'm very, very excited to see what happens in this space. So yeah.
Thanks, Priya. I mean, I have to say, I hope I'll be able to keep up like your amazing curation so far and the excellent work that you have done with the Image Maker in Residence. But, where can people find you, Priya?
So I am a bit of a digital hermit, but I am on Twitter. So you can find me at pshar1312. And how about you, George? Where can we seek you out?
Well, I don't use Twitter yet, at least, but I'm on Instagram, and people can find me at GEO_. Kalivis, which is my last name. And of course, all this information will be around here in the transcript, wherever that is placed. So yes, what a lovely chat we had.
Yeah, thank you. I'm very excited for the future of this program, and I can just, you know, if anyone's watching this or listening to it or reading it, I encourage you to go and look at the program. It runs mostly across Instagram, doesn't it, really, George? And then
yeah, it runs mostly through Instagram right now. So yeah, it will keep on running through social media, but also we'll see what else is there to come. But yeah, please get in touch also if you see this and you're interested in getting involved. Thank you so much, Priya.
Thank you, George.
Bye-bye.
Bye.